Steve, you are going to be shocked, but guess what distro I'm running? Linux from scratch.
Where's the pan?
I don't. Let's go into the Zorin OS discussion. I guess I'll get it started. Zorin OS has been around 10 years. 10 years. They survived 10 years when a lot of distributions say bye-bye. They've made it. They survived, I think, because of a quality product. I think that the two brothers are dedicated, from what I caught on the interview with Artyom. And they make a stable product, at least in my test, either paid or free. They're coming out with the Zorin laptops. Starting at about $400, that's the sweet spot. And I think he mentioned look for other things coming into the future. So I wish him the very best. I think it's perfect timing. Perfect timing for them now. So I believe the manufacturer somewhere in the Star Labs or Star Labs or something. I'll have to go back and listen to something like that. But I think they start off at $419 and then go up from there. I installed the Zorin OS Ultimate as a full install. And the Zorin OS Ultimate, to me, with the proper extensions, pre-debugged, I think it's perfect. I think the way Zorin did it to make the workflow a lot easier, more user-friendly, I think it's just about right. And it looks really, really nice. So I wish Zorin all the best. So that's my thoughts on Zorin. Steve, what do you think?
Well, I tried it out, for one of the Biddle challenges. I was impressed. The way they themed GNOME was very impressive. I mean, albeit the bright theme is a little kind of too much. It is different, but once you kind of set up the dark theme, but they have some really good things in there. The theme switcher, you can go from light to dark, and it will be like Redshift. It will follow the sun, kind of day-night schedule. Which is kind of nice if that's what you like. I thought they did a lot of things really nice. I not a super big GNOME fan, but what they did to customize it, I thought was very impressive.
Yeah, I thought it was just about as perfect, if there is such a thing, especially for beginners. But with the extensions, I think he said they took about 10 extensions, like Dash to Dock or Panel, something like that, and some others. But yeah, I think it looks great, and it works the way it should. So Vince, what do you say?
I've never actually tried Zorin OS. I'm also going to say that I'm the Linux user here on the panel. So thereabouts, I was still on Windows. As a Windows user, how would you sell Zorin? I've been following a lot of discussion lately about how bad marketing and certain distributions is about Zorin OS to me. What would you say that would convince me to try as it goes?
I think take a look at what Google has done with the Chromebook marketing commercials. You don't have to worry about updates getting in the way, malware, ransomware. It's almost non-existent. It's still possible, but yeah, I think something like that, Sleepy. I think it's take a cue from how Google did with those wonderful Chrome commercials, showing the blue screens of Windows and then the music, the da 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 da. No more of this, no more of that, and it just works. And it's going to be pretty much free of malware. I think that's how you would market something like that. I believe some of the machines will have a 2-year warranty versus a 1-year warranty, at least 5 years support, and they're based on LTS. I should have asked if they come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, because that's going to be important if it's not for you. But I think that's the way you market it, and I think you tell Windows users, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. But that's how I would market something like that. Look, if Chromebooks sell the way they market it, and really it's only been since last year that I've seen commercials, and these things have been around since 2011, and they sell like hotcakes. So something's working with the Chromebook, And I think what works with them is, number one, is the price is right. And number two, there's no fuss, there's no maintenance with the Chromebook. I mean, with mine, I haven't had to go into the terminal once. I mean, I go into the terminal to like play around, but in terms of adding something or trying to fix something in the Chromebook, zero. I open the lid, type in the password, bam, and I'm on the web. I want to stream music, play music. Mine's got an SD card, for some more storage, so I can do stuff offline. But that's how you market a Linux machine. It is a maintenance-free machine that stays out of your way. Unlike Windows, because of the updates and the constant, changes with the updates that may slow down your system, and then you have to do multiple reboots. Although in Linux you have to reboot sometimes, but not as much. Not as much. I think in my Chromebook. I think I did one of the reboots, and that was it.
It seems that Zorin also has another big thing going for us. That is, that it actually is probably more familiar to Windows users, the interface that is, compared to Chromebooks. Yeah. It just seems instantly familiar. The other thing I think they're actually doing right with marketing, and would you believe it or not, I think having a paid version is actually a killer marketing ploy. I mean, if you talk to other Linux users, they're probably going to hate it for what it's worth. But if you look at from the mindset of people who are on Mac OS, look at it from the mindset of people who are on Windows, everyone's used to paying anyway. And in some respects, if something's given away for free, you instantly have that suspicion, oh, what's going on here? But if something has a paid version, you kind of lend some degree of...
There is a perception. Absolutely.
Right.
I mean,
and then they realize, hang on a minute. When they jump into it and realize, hang on, this for free as well, then maybe you'll have more people adopting.
Something really good. It does not have to be super expensive. Like, look at the Chromebooks. They start at $200, and I think they're just as reliable as $1,000 Pixelbook. Now, obviously, you go high, it's going to run faster and better screen, But yeah, something really good does not necessarily have to cost you $1,000 or $2,000. I mean, who's going to spend $2,600 for like a Linux Mint machine? I mean, I love Linux Mint, but let's get real here.
Yeah, so, that's a little outpriced.
I mean, yeah.
I'll throw another, toss at a Chromebook on my Chromium OS. I decided to see what it would look like with a second monitor. Boom, picked it up just like that.
Nice.
Clicked it if I wanted the main monitor and all that. I was trying it on my Peppermint, and it is a lower. I mean, I have a 1080p on my main monitor. This is only like 1280, but I wanted to see if it would work, and it did at first, and then I had problems with it. Not a problem with the Chromium OS.
No fuss, no mess. You don't have to go into the terminal. A newbie is not going to do that. Not going to happen.
Now, the one thing I am having problems, I was adding, because the other, the little Asus netbook, I plugged the monitor into that, and now it won't show the monitor at all. And it's what I had the slideshow on. So I said, well, I got this Chromebook that's not doing anything. There's an app from the Chrome store you can get for a slideshow.
Yeah.
I plugged in my external hard drive to start dragging pictures over.
Yeah.
That is a difficulty. There is not a drag and drop going from an outside source to the Chrome. I have a 200-something gig hard drive in there, but there's no
really?
right-click move to it. Yep.
I'll have to try it on my Chromebook. I'll see if I can go for my SD card. I don't know. There probably is a way, but I don't. I'm still learning my Chromebook. I'm not an expert on it, but
you do the right click, and you either got your copy, cut, paste.
Okay.
And you don't have move to like you do in Linux. So that's probably the one niggle that I discovered today.
Okay, it's small. Ben, have you tried Zorin OS?
In the past, yes, but
Okay.
I thought that the ultimate version was a little. I thought it was full of stuff that I would personally just never use. Back then, I wasn't as knowledgeable about Linux as I am today. However, being the noob that I was back then, I wasn't impressed by it. I mean, I just think back then I didn't know to do the apt auto remove, the etc. But, so I just ended up scrapping it and going back to my trusty Gentoo and things like that because honestly, it was just a lot of pain and hassle to move all those programs out of the system. And I just finally said, okay, I'm not going through this. Goodbye. But
It's funny how you said trusty Gentoo in the one sentence.
Well, new users are not going to mess with the Gentoo system from scratch.
no, I know.
Yeah.
I like what Zorin brings to the table. It's easy.
Mhm.
It has a lot of nice programs, but in my opinion, if I was to use it or maintain it, whatever, I would personally take a lot of the stuff out because I think they have too many repeats, too much of this and that. So yeah, I think it's really good, a really good starting point for a new user to build upon. But they gotta get rid of the bloat.
Here's the thing, Ben. A newbie won't have a clue what you're talking about. So to a newbie, that may be just about right.
No, I get that.
Yeah,
But eventually down the road they will see that there's a
Maybe.
lot of
Maybe.
maybe not, but hey,
Yeah.
if they want to keep it
Yeah.
the way it is, that's
I have
more
to say, even still coming from probably the newest user perspective, there is nothing in Linux that's bloated compared to your Mac OS
Yes.
and Windows. Nothing. There's nothing in Linux that I've seen so far that is bloated
So
compared
far.
to that. I mean, it's bloated
Yeah.
compared to Gentoo, probably bloated compared to Arch, but
Yeah.
nothing
Right.
is as bloated as the other things.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well-
I can understand that. I mean, you do make a valid point, Vince. I mean, it is what it is at the newbie's point of view. If they want something that just works, I'd say go to Zorin.
It's a choice.
Yeah,
And
it's a
I
choice
think
at the
priced
end
at $400, I think is priced right versus $2,600 or $1,500 for a Linux Mint machine. That's just not realistic.
Yeah, it is unreal, and I'd rather get a cheap machine like what my mom got yesterday, and if she wants, you see, she's used to Windows 7. She's not used to Windows 10.
Mm.
And I tried to talk her into Linux. She didn't want it, so I said, "Okay, Mom, you're stuck with Windows 10 then." And so I'm setting her up with that right now. But anyway, if I was to give her something Linux based, I'd give her Zorin.
Yeah.
Pay the $15, install it, boom, done.
Well,
And
here's
that's
another way to market Zorin. They've been around 10 years. They're not a fly-by-night type of entity. Okay. How many distros? I counted 40 or 50. Like Linux, that just faded away. What was the last one? Antergos? They come and go. Now we get it. That's part of Linux and part of, but they've lasted 10 years and they've gotten better, not worse. And now they've reached a point where they've teamed up with, looks like a computer. I think it's called Star Labs. I'll have to look at the interview, and they're going to have more than one machine choice starting at that sweet spot. I think the timing's perfect. As a consumer, and again, I try to put my head, in the mind of a newbie after all these years, and it is hard, Ben. But it's like, okay, I'm fed up with the Windows 10 updates, this and that. Is there an alternative that won't cost me $2,000? And here comes Zorin at $419, I think, or higher, depending what you want. Minimum 5 years support. I think the timing's right.
Yeah, it is. But
yeah.
here's the trick, Carmine. A lot of people, some of them just don't care or want Linux. It's a shame, but hey.
There is that stigma where you have to use the terminal, or Linux sucks, so it's too hard. That's partially true depending what you use. But look at Chromebooks. People don't know. I bet there's a lot of people who don't know what Gentoo is. All they know is that the price is right. They flip open the lid, they log in, and it's working. And if you say that's based on Linux, they're going, I thought Linux sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality of it. But if you tell them, look, this is the potential of Linux, like I've been trying to do for the last year or so, until I'm blue in the face. In fact, I see some blue in my. No, I'm just kidding. But if you tell them, look, if you love Chromebooks and you want something that looks a little more snazzy, as it were, or something more, not really bloat, but more packed, why don't you try a Zorin machine? And no, I'm not being sponsored by Zorin or anything. I like what I see because, look, I will recommend anything that is stable. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Really? Now it's up to you if you want to use it or not. But I think the timing's right for Zorin OS. That's why I call them Zawesome. I couldn't think of anything else, The Z team.
Z-Team.
The Z team, right. It's like instead of the A team, the Z team. Yeah. But I wish Zorin, him and his brother, Artyom, his brother, and I guess his dad is part of this thing too, if I remember the interview. I wish him best of luck. I think the timing's right. And, it's just another choice for consumers that won't cost them an arm and a leg. Right now you have your Windows machines at certain price points. You have your Mac, and the only true viable, affordable Linux alternative is Chromebook. That's not quite enough in my opinion. We need at least one more, or more than one more. And I don't think Ubuntu's interested. I don't think Linux Mint, at least, is not interested in that price point. They're going after the upper echelon of consumers, and I'm like, do we really want a Linux Mac machine? And look, maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't know. But if I'm new to Linux and I walk into a store and I'm looking for something just to get me on the web, a few things, and I see a Chromebook for $200 or $250, and it works like this, I'm probably going to consider it. Or if I want something more fancier and I see a Zorin machine or on the web, and it has a 2-year warranty, 5-year support minimum or more, how much is that? $400? That sounds reasonable. Again, how is a consumer going to think? Putting aside what they're going to think of Linux and what they heard at it in the past, that it's for geeks and it's hard, But if they're using Chromebooks or know friends who are using Chromebooks and it's that easy, that's based off of Linux, I think the timing's right. So we'll see what happens. I think they're on a pre-order now, and I think they're going to start shipping him, I think, at the end of the month. Strictly off the website, I think he said. But the system has proven itself. It's 10 years. So I like what I see. And that's why I invited him, and I wish him the best of luck, because Windows users, almost 1 billion of them, I think they're begging for an alternative. Yeah. At least some of them.
And the Zorin team has been constantly improving. I mean, this version of Zorin 15 is proof of it. And they put a lot of thought behind what they're doing.
And I think if people would just go to the website and maybe try the light version, try the XFCE, if you want to try that first, or the core, just to get the feel of it. But just keep in mind, if you're a newbie and you do that, there's no guarantee it's going to work. There's no guarantee that the software will be married well to the hardware. That's just the nature of it. But if you buy a pre-debugged machine or pre-tested machine like a Chromebook, and you buy a Zorin book, I don't know what they're going to call them. It's pre-debugged and pre-tested, so the software will match the hardware. And it should have worked just as good, if not better, than your Windows machine. Yes. So you're not downloading a random distro and then trying to solve puzzles. And I think that's where a lot of the stigma comes. Well, I tried to download and install this, and it didn't work on my machine. Right, it didn't work on that particular machine, but maybe on the other machine or his machine it worked. I think the timing is perfect. Time will tell, and the sweet spot price is where they have to be.
No, I was just going to say, and we, that they found it sounded like the computer manufacturer found them. These don't take off unless we have a specific outfit like what Pinebrook is going to do, possibly, with Mate shipping out. Interested to see what. I haven't caught how what Zeb has talked about the Pinebrook. He said it was pretty awesome for
He had a brief. I think his was an experimental, like a prototype. He says it wasn't.
Yeah, he
bad.
said the prototype was just pretty. He was supposed to talk more about it, but I must have missed that. But yeah, getting them, the manufacturer to get behind on putting that distribution on is the big battle. We know Dell's doing it, but to a certain extent, HP to a certain extent, and then you go up to your higher end, System 76, which are beautiful machines, but now we're talking about the price of a high-end PC or a low-end Mac. It's a little bit for Linux, and then calling theirs Pop OS, it pops, I guess, but again, they're doing stuff with that home desktop that Ubuntu isn't doing.
Right. Yeah. I think I've said it before, but since I got the Chromebook, I have a couple ThinkPads. One I dual boot, one I don't. That has Linux Mint, and it's awesome. Once I got the Chromebook, with the 60-day battery life, it's not. It's more like 13 up, but like it feels that way. I'm not using my freaking ThinkPads though. And ThinkPads, are great machines. But since I got the Chromebook, I'm like, ThinkPad, yeah. Let's move on.
Did you catch IG's latest video on Linux Mint 19.2?
I saw he uploaded, but I did not get a chance yet. Yeah. No.
I guess they got some different stuff going on with the newer version of Mint.
Okay.
If you're targeting a machine to compete against a Chromebook, then pretty much everything that you're going to be doing is probably going to be in a browser anyway. And so as long as you have the browser working, you have a very pretty desktop, you have the facility to install a few other applications, I think it's a winner. But then you got to get the pricing right, like you say.
People have busy lives, family, kids. If somebody mentions a Chromebook or Linux because they just bought one, here you go, to the website, and they're going to do some quick reading. How much is it? What's the warranty? What's the return? Or walk into a store. It's going to be shopping like this, and maybe like a little bit of time for someone to explain it. But the real test comes when they buy it, take it home, and they turn it on. It's like, oh, it did the updates already, and I don't have to do 64,000 reboots. Wow, that's pretty impressive. That says a lot. And with I just did a manual update on my Chromebook, and it said I had to reboot. I was like, really? I have to reboot? Okay, but it was only one reboot.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't take like multiple reboots, multiple minutes or hours. And that's what's not. Once it rebooted, that's it. It's not like a multiple reboot, unless there's something wrong with it.
And they actually, worded different. It's restart.
I know.
So the boot, no one thinks about it. It's just, okay, restart the machine.
Yeah.
It's just snap quick.
I'm so used to saying boot. But yeah, I think it did say restart to apply or something. I'm like, okay, because I know it won't take that long.
Yeah.
It just restarted, logged in again. I have to sync it to my phone, to my Bluetooth. So all I got to do is click my face on the Chromebook. And I then not type in my long password, my long dissertation password, But yeah, that feature when you click on your face is pretty cool. As long as you have your phone close by, that's the safety feature on it. But yeah, you hit restart once, and bam, I'm right there.
Yeah,
it's awesome. And the 13-hour battery life as I'm surfing, it's not too bad for a $200 machine. It just isn't. So that's the potential power of a pre-built Linux-based machine that a lot of Windows users just may not believe until they see it or they buy it, and not having a machine when you have to do multiple updates, and maybe it freezes, or maybe it won't freeze, or maybe the update will make something crash. I think the timing's right for Zorin. So Zorin team, I wish you the best of luck. I think I told RDM, let me know after they go on sale for any feedback, and maybe do like a follow-up interview with them, because I'm super curious. Like I said, I've been following them, I can't say since the very beginning, but close to it. And what got me caught on to them was it looked like Windows-ish. It looked friendly, it looked comfortable on the eyes. But they've made it. And this year is 10 years of them. So happy birthday, Zorin. I wish you all the very best. Those are my closing thoughts. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, it's nice to see that. I guess developer, they're kind of sticking to their guns. They're looking to adapt and do better. Like I said, I was impressed with how they put it together and just taking GNOME to a new level, so to speak. And within your interview, he said like they put probably about 11 add-ons,
something like 10 or 11
in there to make things work. And
and
not only like the day-night, dark theme, light theme, dark theme, but you can just by clicking, you can change different header settings and things like that, and making it that much easier. That I'm looking at right now on my wife's little Windows 10, and they threw the dark on there, but every time if you bring up the menu or go into settings, it starts out with the blue, then transitions to black. It's not black. It's like all of a sudden there's an overlay on it, and it's so.
Okay.
But Zorin, no, I would, I hope that they do well. I hope that depending on what the manufacturer is on their laptop, hopefully it's got good specs, and it'd be nice to see what it looks like.
We won't really know, just to get real here. We won't really know until we get consumer feedback. But I think they have a shot. Vince, what are your closing thoughts?
Oh, it's certainly a beautiful looking desktop. And I'm probably going to very soon just grab me a copy of the ISO and test it out, because I've got to have a close look at it. And in the past, I've given Linux Mint to complete Linux newbies before, and that's come out without a hitch. But if this works as well as it's as described, and as easy to use as described, and certainly as beautiful as described, then it could be something that I could use instead to give to people who aren't familiar with Linux at all. The one thing that I find is probably, that I got from the interview that you did, Carmine, was that they really focused on the user experience, the user interface. And that focus, I think, is going to take them a very, very long way, especially if they're trying to grab people to convert over to Linux. Because, what sets them apart from System 76 and the Pinebooks is they're starting with the OS, they're starting with the interface, and then moving to hardware. Whereas the other guys, they were hardware makers, and then they made their own, or they're doing software on top of that. But these guys, in terms of design, marketing, I think they're heading in the right direction.
It is a known desktop, so probably 4 gigs of RAM should be the minimum. I think you can run it with less, but just to be realistic here and be fair, you should have at least 4 gigs. It is not quite as resource light as the other, types of distributions. Of course, it wasn't made that way, but it does look pretty slick. And that day and night thing where you can set it to automatic or manual, that's a nice touch. I really like that, a lot. And it just looks, it feels like it's a quality product. So Artyom and the Zorin team, I wish you awesome luck with the machines. Don't be shy and let us know any feedback. I'm hoping it's all positive. I really do, and I'll have Artyom on the show again.